Okay. What I'm doing right now is I'm just filling in bits and pieces of the 103 lectures that don't have videos for. So on this, they're not as long, they're shorter ones because they deal with some individual concepts. In one of our lessons on graphing, one of the things that I ran into with your graphing is that there was a problem where you had to look at an equation and then choose which one of the pictures of the graphs matched that equation. So let's look at that right now. Let's look at this one. Y is equal to 2 times x. Now let's draw a couple graphs here, and you choose which one you think is the correct answer. So I'm going to explain how we know which one is the correct answer. There's one possibility. As you see, my graphs don't always look so great here. This one's got a line that's not straight up and down, so let's try it again and see if we can get a better line on it. Yeah, let's look a little bit better. X and Y. Okay. And now let's draw one more. Now, as we look at these lines, we don't have to have numbers to even calculate them. All we have to do is understand what that equation is saying. When it says y equals 2x, this tells me I have a positive slope, and I don't have a y-intercept because there's no number there. That would be the same thing as plus 0. Which means that it has to go through 0, 0, the origin. Well, let's look. This one goes through 0, 0. This one goes through 0, 0. This one does not. Therefore, this is not a possibility. So now let's look at these two. It says it has a positive slope of 2. Well, what is this slope? Is it positive or negative? What is this one? Is it positive or negative? Well, this one is a positive slope, and this one is a negative slope. Therefore, this one's not possible because it has a negative slope. That's not the answer, so therefore, this one is the correct answer. So you don't even have to have numbers to be able to match these. You just need to be able to match what the information is to what you see in your graphs. Let's do one more so you can see another one. This one's going to be a little bit more complex, but we will use the same principles. We will look at what is the y-intercept and what kind of slope do we have. So, y equals x minus 3. Okay, I've got 3 possibilities drawn for you. And we'll go through it just like we did the other one. Okay. Okay, there's our 3 lines. Now let's look at them. First of all, let's look at where their y-intercept is. Your y-intercept is a negative 3. Well, Here's your y-intercept. Is that positive or negative? It's a positive intercept. It's a positive 3 or whatever. So it's positive intercept y. So that one's not a possibility. Here's a negative y-intercept and a negative y-intercept. So we have two possibilities that are still possible. Now let's look at the slope. The slope is positive, and it could be expressed as 1 over 1 or a positive 1, okay? So we have a positive slope. Well, this one is going downhill. Therefore, this slope is negative. This one is going uphill. Therefore, this slope is positive. Since I have to have a positive slope, not a negative slope, this one is not the answer, and this one is. So that shows you how to choose the correct graph that matches what you have in your equation, okay? The next thing we're going to look at is graphing a line from a point and a slope. Many of you have heard of graphing from a y-slope-intercept form equation, where you graph from your y-intercept and then use your slope to graph other points in order to get your line. Well, this works very much the same way. Only instead of graphing from the y-intercept, you graph the slope from whatever point they gave you. So, let's look at one. I have a point of 1, -2, and I have a slope m equal to -2 over 3. So my first step, once I get my graph drawn here, since I don't have whiteboard graph paper, I have to make my graph paper, okay? So my point is 1, -2, so 1 to the right, down 2. There's my first point. From my point, it says that I have a slope of -2, 3, or this could be 2 over -3. Let's start with -2, 3. -2, 3 says down 2 and right 3. There's one point, okay? If I use 2, -3, I'm going to go up 2 and then left 3. Okay, so that gives you your points in order to draw your line. And of course, if you're using graph paper, it would be much more accurate than this. So that's another way to graph a line, is from a point that is given and a slope. So you've learned to graph from a lot of different ways so far. You've graphed from a chart. You have graphed from x and y intercepts. You have graphed from slope-intercept equations. And now you have graphed from a point and a slope. You have written equations in a lot of different ways too in this lesson. So you've done a lot of various different things with graphs. And so enjoy doing this. It's fun. You can do a lot of fun things with graphs.